Hello and welcome back to another World of Warcraft Gold Guide. This time it's going to be one that I think a lot of those of you who are a bit jaded against traditional gold guides will pretty much love, because this makes raw gold. You will not have to auction house anything if you don't want to, and it will make you good gold. This method involves soloing Cataclysm raids at 25 heroic difficulty. The reason why you do 25 heroic is because every boss will drop 125 raw gold, and they will drop a crap ton of epic items that you can vendor. Now, first of all, sorry for this video being a week late. I actually ballsed up one of my lockouts last week, so I had to wait a week until it reset. Now, for this video, I did Bastion of Twilight, the one with Nefarian in it, and then Firelands. I soloed all of these in my Hunter, and while I definitely could have soloed them a lot faster, I was extremely impressed with the amount of gold that this generates. I'll give you a quick spoiler, between the three of them I made 4,876 raw gold. That's with zero auction housing, zero disenchanting, basically just plain and simple gold. Do remember that this can be done on as many characters as you have geared. I did this on a character with item level 600 and I believe 49 gear. However, it probably can be done on a character with less gear. I found that, say, the Nefarian place, the name of which I've completely forgotten, was very simple, and Firelands should be quite doable as well. Oddly enough, I found Bastion of Twilight to be the most annoying due to Valiona and Theralian's blackout mechanic, which you can Google. It's rather horrible, and there are maybe some classes which just won't be able to solo the place. Anyway, now in this guide, the way that I've done things with times is any times that I wiped, I basically just don't count that time spent, because I want to provide you with numbers that are based on a single, completely successful clear, because after you do these for 1 week, you'll be able to do them every other week extremely efficiently. Now, I'm just going to cut the waffle and get to right what you want to know, which is the breakdown of the gold earned and the time taken. I'm going to start off with Bastion of Twilight. Now, I found that BOT was completely fine to solo. However, I skipped Sinestra because last week I had loads of problems. I didn't want to mess up my data. Though, of course, if you can kill Sinestra, then you will get more money, and I know she's killable, so there you go, nice money. And also, I messed up on Valiona and Theralian a few times. This is because I forgot a specific glyph for the Hunter. It was a bit annoying, and it did waste me some time. However, all of that in mind, it took me 19 minutes to clear this. Now, that really isn't very impressive, and you can definitely pare that down to something that is a bit shorter. Now for the raw gold, the gold breakdown. So in terms of raw gold that I picked up from bosses, I got 570. I then got 32 gold worth of trash drops, so just vendor greys. Then the epics that I got vendored for 538 gold. However, do bear in mind that I just vendored the armor tokens because I couldn't be bothered turning them in, because that just takes even more time. So while they only vendored for 5 gold each, the actual bits of armor that they are used to purchase can sell for more. In terms of greens, I got 135 gold worth of greens if they're disenchanted into hypnotic dust, and you can actually turn that into even more money if you use the dust and the ember silk that you gain to make bags. However, since this video is about easy raw gold, I will use the vendor price of the greens, which was 55 gold. I then also got a BOE transmog item. Now this it was actually something that I sold for 250G, and it's a very common occurrence. I usually get a few here every week. Now, I made a total of 1,195 raw gold earned in 19 minutes, plus the minute or two that it took to sell everything. And in addition to that, I also got the transmog item that I sold for 250 gold. I am going to use gold per hour here, and the reason why I'm using gold per hour is because it lets us conveniently compare the 3 different locations. So the gold per hour without the transmog item was 3,585, and with the transmog item, it was 4,335. Another thing to bear in mind with gold per hour here, though, is that, of course, there is travel time to each of these instances, which isn't that great because you can just Hearthstone to Stormshield, then go to Stormwind and take the various portals, but that is worth just bearing in mind. As I said, gold per hour is just a metric to compare the raids to see which one is the best. However, the money's pretty good, so I recommend doing all 3. Next, let's move on to Blackwing Descent. Yes, its name finally came back to my head. So, for Blackwing Descent, it was actually just by far the easiest one. It only took me 15 minutes, no wipes, no complications, nice and easy. So, in total for my gold gained, I got 763 gold off the various bosses and mobs that I killed, and I then got 729 gold of epics. Just, you know, they dropped off the bus, which I then vendored. I got no BOE items, I got no real greens, at least I can't remember getting them. I got about 10 gold of trash items. This brings me up to a total of 1,502 gold with 15 minutes spent, which is 6k gold per hour, which is an extremely high amount of gold, considering how easy this is. If you do anything, I just recommend doing Blackwing Descent, because damn, it's a lot of money for really not that much work. Next, let's move on to the Firelands. So time-wise, the Firelands was a bit problematic for me. My run was terribly inefficient. It was the first time since the beta that I'd actually done it. So I actually ended up killing more of the ads than I needed to in order to call out Shanox. But a part of that is because I did want to experiment on whether the ad drops were worth it. I don't really think they were, to be honest. I also messed up Bellular a few times because I was half asleep and was just standing in crap, which is kind of embarrassing. And I was then caught in an indefinite stun lock by the Firecat trash before Staghelm. And oh yes, on top of that, I jumped into the lava before Rag, which turned out to be a pretty poor decision. And then finally, I actually killed Bellular before Shanox, so I had to backtrack. Basically, it was just a really sloppy run. I was half asleep. Now, when calculating the time taken for this run, I'm just cutting out the wipes to Bellular, so that won't be there, and I'm also cutting out the stun loop that I got from the Firecats. That brings me up to a total time to complete Firelands 25 Heroic, being 37 minutes, which I know is quite long. Though I did hop onto YouTube and I saw that it takes Nobble 35 minutes to solo this in 25 Heroic, so I think about 35 minutes is a fair enough time. Let's just use 30 for the sake of our calculations here, because I do think that I could optimize this heavily. Now then, in terms of gold stuff here is pretty simple. I got 1,002 raw gold. I then had to delete 9 of the tier tokens that I got to get enough space to fill up my bag with the armor that I got from Ragnaros. These are worth 5 gold each, so if you can be bothered to turn them in, they'll make you even more money. I then earned 968 gold from the epics that I vendored. Then I vendored 3 green weapons for 65 gold. Of course, the green weapons are worth quite a lot of vendor gold, actually. And then 6 green armors dropped, which were worth 144 gold and dust. However, I'm just going to use the vendor value of 54 gold. And this comes out to a total of 2,179 gold in a 37-minute run. However, let's just say it's about 4,400 gold per hour and use a runtime of 30 minutes, because I do believe that Firelands 25 Heroic can be soloed in 30 minutes. So there are the final results. If you want, you can also do Dragon Soul. I find that it's really not that bad, though of course soloing the Spine of Deathwing 25 Heroic is a little bit annoying because, well, it's just a bit of a finicky encounter. But still, it's worth doing. I just didn't have the time to get all that stuff done before this video because I've been super busy. So ultimately what we have found from this is that it's very profitable to do these, and of course you can do them on multiple characters. Now the easiest to do is definitely Blackwing Descent, but really Firelands, Blackwing Descent and Bastion of Twilight can all be soloed with relative ease as long as you're playing your class right. You can do this on as many decently geared characters as possible, so let's just say you've got 4 alts with decent gear. Well, that's going to be, what, nearly 15,000 gold a week just by, or 20,000 gold a week even, just by doing something that's relatively easy, and let's face it, a lot more fun than traditional farming methods or collecting ore or anything like that. So there you go, just a quick little way to generate some raw gold that should help you out. Thanks for watching, hope you found the guide useful, and I'll see you next time.